You're listening to the Rebel Scum podcast.
You are always scum. Rebel Scum.
From odds making to list rankings, we've got you covered. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
Have you seen the clip of Robert Rodriguez jamming out with Baby Yoda? Because the internet has.
Yeah, I saw that before I saw that new episode of Gallery.
Yeah, let's just remember this moment next time they say that Star Wars is dying, and it's just like...
No, it's dead,
clip.
Brock. Star Wars is dead.
It's dead and dying. It's in its grave, and it's haunting us every December 25th till we become nice people. Like, how can a clip like that become viral from a documentary show about the Mandalorian? Granted, it's one of the best Star Wars things that come out in the last decade, but like, come on.
I can tell you why.
Why?
Well, I'm not going to, but I could. If I told you, that would give away the secret of Mr. Robert Rodriguez, executive producer of the Boba Fett show, aka Book of Fett. No, I agree. If Star Wars was dead, if The Last Jedi finished it off like so many people believe it did, then the excitement for Rise of Skywalker wouldn't have been there last year. And if the Rise of Skywalker killed it off like so many people think it did, I don't think the excitement for High Republic and then the onslaught of shows and movies that they announced would be there as well. And so I'm with you. I don't think Star Wars is dead. It clearly can't die anyway. I think I will say I think when the Disney acquisition happened, I think they did try to go to that well too quickly and too often. Those 5 movies in 5 years proved to be a bit much. I mean, I enjoyed it. I know you enjoyed it, but I think they put the cart before the horse is what I will say. Is they were like, we're going to do all this, but they didn't actually have that plan. So I think they were kind of exhausting it. Whereas now, when they say we have 10 shows, we're like, well, yeah, because Ahsoka and New Rangers and we see what's happening here instead of just that spinoff and that. And that. So, but yeah, it died a horrible death. R.I.P.
This is the Rebel Scum podcast.
Happy New Year!
This is what we call a cold open and scene. I'm Brock. This is
James. And we got someone else with us today too. You can't see him until there he is.
They're stuck with me. By the way, is it me? Is it just me, or is Robert Rodriguez like, if you put him right next to Michael Madsen and switch them around really fast, I wouldn't know which one to shoot.
And they both hang out with Tarantino too, so that makes it even harder to figure out. They've never been in the same room as each other. By the way, Andrew, we got it for those listening. You can't see, but for those watching, Andrew is doing his best to morph himself into becoming George Lucas. That is what's happening. He's got the plaid, the beard. He is slowly becoming George Lucas.
Well, you guys haven't seen George Lucas and me in the same room either. Oh wait, you have. Yeah. So.
Yes, we were both there. That fails on all accounts. Brock, it's the week after Christmas. How was your Christmas?
It was fine, COVID. So
yeah, COVID. So you went out, you did the 4 Christmases thing where you just went to like every party you could find. And not anyone you knew. You went to strangers' Christmas parties.
Yeah, and Vince Vaughn talked me into it, and it was great. No, I saw my family. I saw WGR's family. So what else can you ask for? It was good
Christmas.
times. Lots of food. How was your Christmas?
Mine was great. Lots of food as well. Andrew, yours?
Mine was pretty good. It was just low-key. Just me and my mom here at our place. We didn't want to do a big family thing because we wanted to be responsible and not spread the love, so to speak. So I had a Zoom meeting. I scheduled a Zoom thing.
A Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
We're here to discuss Christmas. But did Santa squeeze his butt down your chimney? Did Santa make his way to you?
Squeezed his fat white butt down my chimney, and I had the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap dance with Danny F and K.
Amazing.
And it was very, very nice Christmas. I felt I should bring this up. Right before we started recording, I got a bunch of WhatsApp messages from my friend Chris. And Chris is like, somebody please tell me what order to watch Star Wars in, because I've never seen them and I want to know what the fuss is about. And it turned into this whole thing. I hate getting nudged by my phone. I hate notifications, so I have them all turned off. So literally what happened in this WhatsApp group is you have 3 of my friends who are either casual Star Wars fans or who don't care about Star Wars at all, talking about, I think this is the right order. And every once in a while they're like, Andrew, what's the right order? And like after like 4 hours, I'm like, oh, sorry guys, you saw this now.
So, Brock, I don't know if you're into. I want to know what order you said it in, Andrew.
Yeah, Chris, you better watch this. We're trying to answer your question.
I'll say it like I say with everything else. You watch it in alphabetical order.
There you go.
So what would that be?
Well, okay, does the count as the, or do we
Okay.
skip the?
Yeah, the and do not count.
Yes, yes, correct.
With N.
Yeah.
So Attack of the Clones would be first, and you
Attack of the Clones. There you go.
That's not a bad way to start it.
No,
Because if
not
you
at all.
hate it, then it's out of the way right away, and if you love it, you're off with a bang. So really, you can't go wrong with Attack of the Clones first.
And I think the next one is Empire, so
Yeah,
you're solid.
those.
Oh, you're starting really strong. It's all downhill from here.
And then Force Awakens. It's too bad if you couldn't get like the dismal ones like in a row, like Attack, Empire, and then Last Jedi. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be an interesting watch.
Rise of Skywalker is still last.
Yeah.
How about that? See what happens.
There you go. Well, that's good because you don't want that to be anywhere but last. But well, I guess you know. But January 1st, ranking Star Wars, the definitive ranking list. We will be doing it. You can't argue with it. It's facts for a whole year. Whatever we say goes, and everybody will be very pleased with the rankings.
Yeah, they better be. Well, they'll be pleased with most of the rankings.
Yeah, you know what? They're just for fun. It's no one cares.
If you go to a random Canadian Star Wars podcast and be like, your ranking is awful and you should feel bad, then you're looking at the wrong place, dude.
There were 60 lists combined for this one, though. 60 lists.
Yeah, that's a
combined.
lot.
So it was a lot of fun. But yeah, Christmas came and went, which is always a good time. On Boxing Day, which is December 26th here in the Great White North, we did. Me and my family watched the Gallery show with with Robert Rodriguez, obviously, and my dad the entire time said, "That's Jon Favreau. That's who he is. I didn't know that was Jon Favreau." Every time he came on the screen, and if you've seen it, he's on the screen a lot of the time, and so I heard that a lot on that day. So anyway, Jon Favreau is the actor. Jon Favreau that he didn't know was also a director. Even though he watched the Gallery last year and he said the same thing last year, which my mom reminded him of every time he said it. So there was a lot of talking over. So I do have to see it again. So I understand what's going on. But what did you guys make of Gallery? I don't know if they say that's a special. I don't know if that's the only one we're getting. They didn't get into Luke at all, so I'm guessing there's one coming out this Friday. But what did you guys make of that Gallery episode?
I liked it. It felt like one of the documentaries that would be on the DVD, but I think I liked the first season's way better because it was just every episode got its own deep dive. This kind of felt like it was just going through every episode, and we got a lot of stuff for every episode. It was a nice big 1 hour plus thing, but I want those like George Lucas, Peter Jackson video diaries.
Brock?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I was just like, it felt longer than the normal episodes used to be. So I was like, whoa, we're still going. I liked it though. If it is a one and done, it wasn't terrible. But yeah, I agree. Like there's too much they didn't cover that would be it'd be strange not to talk about it. So I can't remember. There was one thing that stood out for me that was like, oh, that was the volume or something like that. But anyways.
Well, Rodriguez, you asked if they were on location. Yeah.
They were, right?
Yeah, first time ever, yeah.
So because we were like, is that the volume or is that real? I mean, that's how good it's gotten where it's like, Yeah, I don't know. But I enjoyed it, and I hope there's more. It was nice to watch. Yeah.
I think part of the reason why they can't do more because this hit me like halfway through. I was like, oh, they're not doing the roundtable stuff. I'm like, oh, COVID, and then you can see as they're shooting, people start wearing masks. And they're not wearing masks.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up because I was like, I had to look up like when did they finish shooting, which said March, but like who knows?
I think it was
how accurate that is.
I thought they finished like right before COVID exploded. Like they were good.
Yeah,
So and you can kind of see that because some people are masked, some aren't. It's like very like it was very much how it was at the beginning, right? Where it's wishy-washy on who has it, who doesn't.
Yeah, it was trippy. It was trippy because it's like, I mean, yeah, the outbreak hadn't happened yet in like North America, or was it just about to happen? But you're like, yeah, COVID was happening at the time. So, is the Mandalorian completely shot in the States? Like the volume's in the States, right?
Yeah.
It's not right?
I think it is, and I think the Cassian show and Obi-Wan are going to England. But I believe, it's all in the States.
I think you're right. That's going to be in the UK, Cassian and Obi-Wan. But weren't they just shooting Cassian in Boston or something?
Yeah, no. That was it was Massachusetts, England, or something.
Right. Oh,
it was confused. I think people got confused, and it ended up being one. But I think I don't know. They still might be doing some here. I'm not sure how it works. Well, I mean, I just watched Shazam earlier. And they shot a lot of it in Philadelphia, but then they were in Toronto for like this and that and somewhere else, I think, too. So, they do it all the time on the movies. I'm sure it works the same with these shows. And pickup shots are going to be super easy.
4 more new ones, right? I think one in Australia, one in England. The new,
Australia? Volumes?
Not shooting there, but they're building the new
volume
elements. The volume, yeah. I think because they said they're building 4 more. I think one of them's in Australia. Or am I just remembering that wrong?
I don't even remember where I would have heard that.
At the Investor Expo.
She said, Kathleen, fun story. I didn't watch that. I just read. I read after, and I got Andrew. Andrew, you and Rob were texting me with something cool would be announced. I'm not an investor, so I didn't do it.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. But yeah, they're building 4 more volumes apparently.
Wow, they're worth it, man. That's the future of filmmaking. They're doing Thor, God of Love and Rock Lobster or whatever it is. They're doing that movie in front of the thing as well. So, have you guys seen Wonder Woman 1977, whatever it's called? Have you guys seen the second Wonder Woman yet?
Yes, and I definitely paid for it.
Did you like it? And the reason I'm asking is because of Patty Jenkins's Star Wars connection.
See, that's the thing. It's like, what is Patty Jenkins known for besides Wonder Woman? And I looked it up. It was Monster was like her big breakout hit, correct? You're more of a film guy.
Yeah, but she did like Game of Thrones, though. That was what did it, right?
Was she on Game of Thrones?
Wait, what did Patty Jenkins do? I thought she did something. Hold on. Oh, I'm probably wrong.
Because I was trying to figure that out myself.
She did something.
While you look that up, I didn't watch Wonder Woman because, we got screwed over in Canada like we usually do, where even though we pay for Crave HBO.
No. I understand what you're saying, and you're not wrong. But you got to remember, HBO Max didn't make this movie. Warner Brothers made the movie and is trying to recoup their losses, so it put it on their streaming thing. I know it is frustrating because we will get the Snyder cut.
She directed Arrested Development.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it is a bummer. But like every I know like Google Play had it, Apple TV or whatever it's called now had it. Like you can get it anywhere. I will say at some point, I'm sure it'll be in theaters. Like normally, I will go see it again. But yeah, I was like Patty Jenkins. I was just sort of like, the first movie was good.
She didn't do Game of Thrones. It was definitely Monster, then Arrested Development, Entourage. She did The Killing, which Aaron was 2 episodes of The Killing, which Aaron was a huge fan of.
Gotcha.
I Am the Night, which I haven't seen, but I actually really want to see that show.
Yeah, I think I had her confused with Catherine Bigelow for a hot second.
I
but it's not like. Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. I thought she did Game of Thrones because I'm pretty sure. I thought that there was that period of time when every director that was being hired was from Game of Thrones, and I thought she was in that.
So to not like spoil anything for you, I liked it, but I'm conflicted of my true thoughts of it once you guys do watch it. Like, is it because we had to wait so long that we were desiring this movie that it was like you couldn't go to the theaters and see it? And also, would my opinion change if I had seen it in theaters? I enjoyed it. Is it the best? I don't think so, but it's a movie. I will say this to bring love back to Patty Jenkins. She does action real good in this one. Like, there were many times when I was watching this with Reham and we were like, wow, wow, wow. And that was just like the action scenes, right? So
I enjoyed the first Wonder Woman. I wasn't in love with it like a lot of people were. But everyone knows I like a lot of the DC movies, but I really liked Wonder Woman. I was in love with it. I probably, I don't know if I would have seen this in the theater or not, to be honest. I might have, I might not have. I will see it eventually, but there's nothing. I think I've said this about superhero movies before. I'm just like, I don't know. And then I usually like them, but I'm like, I like it. I think I like to wait a little bit, and when I'm in the mood, I watch them and I really enjoy them. Because if I'm not, I'm like, oh, this again, kind of thing. But I'm excited what you said about directing the action, Brock. Because Aquaman, I was not into the directing of that action at all. I couldn't take it. But anyway, Andrew, what about you?
I think I remember really liking the first Wonder Woman, and then when I watched it a couple weeks ago to like prep myself for this, I liked it a little bit less. I don't know. It just felt kind of bland to me. Nothing against the movie itself was good. Gal was great. Wonder Woman was great. It was just the story itself was just a very generic origin story that was, I think the smaller screen kind of diminished it a little bit, because in the movie theater it was definitely a much bigger ordeal to be like, yeah, all right, Wonder Woman, this rocks. But I still really liked it. And I was really excited for 1984 because it looked cool. And unlike Ares, I think Maxwell Lord and Cheetah make better villains. Ares was a pretty lame villain. So I was really looking forward to seeing her go up against, some threats. And I don't know, from what I heard of this movie, it's mixed. People just seem to think it's okay. But I'm looking forward to watching it. And I would have if it was free. Or not free, but like part of the package that I already pay for.
Yeah, these movies are getting a little long. That, again, will be my complaint about these action. I mean, Endgame can get away with it because it has it's the epic conclusion. But like, I liked Aquaman, but I was still like, this movie was too long.
It's
like,
very convoluted.
It's just,
yeah, it goes on forever.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Shazam the second time I saw it.
And,
I told you I didn't like it the first time, and this time I was like, I was way more into it. So I don't know how long it was either.
I will say Wonder Woman is a little too long. So
that's not the first time I've heard that. I think you're right. You know what though? I think you're right, and Andrew will disagree. But I think Endgame allowed itself to be 900 hours long, right? Like because it earned it over 10 years of movies and all these things adding up to this climax. Whereas Wonder Woman, it's like we've had one other Wonder Woman and she was kind of in the other two movies. And it's like, this isn't an epic conclusion to anything. It's probably a middle chapter of a trilogy of hers. It should probably be 87 minutes. No, but it shouldn't be. It should be between 2 hours and like 2:25 max is where a movie like this should be, in my opinion. And I haven't seen it, so I could look. When I watch it, I might come in here and be like, it should be longer.
Let's return to the 90 minute 1 hour, like 100 minute one. Like
I like
if Mandalorian can do an epic. No, it's a TV show. If the Mandalorian can grab you in like 40 minutes.
Storytelling is a lost art. That's what it's come down to. Is no one knows how to tell a story anymore.
Do you like how we're on a podcast, an audio medium, and I just
you just
don't really say anything unless you're watching us on YouTube and seeing my crazy hand gestures,
which go off frame, so you can't even see them.
Yeah.
His arms flapping.
T-Public, take a snapshot of that. That's our next piece of merch right there.
Imagine they were actually making T-shirts, like they're watching all the content and making the T-shirts. So.
Just click and do it up. I might watch Wonder Woman soon. We'll see if I get a $30 raise. I will watch Wonder Woman at some point, but I don't know if I will. Anyway, I was just asking because Patty Jenkins is obviously doing Rogue Squadron, which nobody knows anything about, but she did say that there is a writer attached, and they're very far in that process, and she didn't want to mention who the writer was because they think, she says that he deserves his own, like, what's it called? Introduction or whatever. Announcement. So,
Ernest Cline!
That came out of left field. He's done 2 movies. He's written 2 movies, right? And he says he's only written 1 because 1 was Fanboys.
Can you imagine if he wrote this and it's like halfway through Rogue Squadron, Wedge turns to the others and he's like, this is just like that time in Alien 3.
Oh, wow, you haven't even read number 2 yet. What's it called? Player 2, and you're already like ripping. I'm ready for it. Bring it.
But he read Armada, so
Yeah, I read Armada.
Less is more. Less is more. Back to Star Wars. Do you guys have any expectations of who will be writing this movie, Rogue Squadron?
I mean, we
Does it
could
matter?
put high hopes, but it doesn't really matter at this point because they could say anybody they want to, but until there's a trailer, I don't believe anything, right? Like it's the movie business. It's Hollywood. They can bring in multiple writers. I would hope almost that most Star Wars scripts get touched a bunch of times, which I don't know if that occurs. Like they seem to be pretty into. I don't know. It's hard to say, but like people get brought in for punch ups, so why can't they do that with Star Wars?
Well, Carrie Fisher punched up the prequels. Andrew, any expectations?
I think it's going to be somebody we're familiar with, because I feel like if it's somebody who's not super well known, like if they're like the writer of Rogue Squadron is going to be one of the writers of Captain Marvel, be like, oh, okay. Like I think if that was the case, they just say that now. The fact that she's kind of making a thing of it means it's somebody where when we hear the name, it'll create an expectation right away. And I think that's what she wants to avoid, is creating that expectation right away by just saying the name. So it's about making sure the name doesn't turn Rogue Squadron into something that it's not, especially this early on.
I'm hoping that it's J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson.
Both.
It's both. Oh my God. But they don't write it together. They don't write it together. One writes the first half and the second one writes the second half. And
Ryan sits in a Starbucks in like uptown Manhattan, writes on a piece of paper, folds it into a plane, and then throws it down, and then like JJ catches it. Oh.
I don't know who they're gonna get, and I have no expectations for who it is. I just like I said, my whole thing with this movie and this announcement that throws me off is Rogue Squadron doesn't sound like a big, giant, sweeping epic that separates itself from what we're getting on Disney Plus, and that is what. And I trust that it will be, but that's what I'm more curious about in every front right now, is how they get us there to that aspect. Because look, movie theaters for the time being are on ventilators, and they're having a hard time surviving, and Star Wars and Marvel are going to be the two things that are going to revive that industry big time. And if people don't buy into Rogue Squadron, that is not going to help out the future of movie theaters. Which, by the way, Brock, I do want to, when the world goes back normal, we got to go see the new Wes Anderson movie.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Let me throw an odd at you guys. What are the odds Rogue Squadron is our first piece of post Rise of Skywalker storyline?
I like it. I keep saying, look, we need to move away from the old stuff, even though you throw in Luke Skywalker into Mandalorian and we're like, yes, please. So I don't know. I think at least with the movies, we need to move away from it because, I don't know.
I'm with.
Uh,
Sorry, go on.
no, go ahead.
No, I'm with you. I like the moving on, but I also like I love what they're doing with Mandalorian because they have this 30-year pocket and it's on Disney Plus and it's a smaller scale. I think though, to your point, when it's bigger and something more exciting, you've got to move past. You got to move past it. The prequels, it was allowed for the prequels because we only had 3 movies. There was only 3 things in Star Wars that existed at that point. And I know the books, no, but they don't exist. It's just the movies. And and I'm talking about story-wise. So you have the original trilogy. They can go back and do that and tell us the backstory of Anakin. But now I think it doesn't work like that anymore. And I think you've got to go forward. But I don't want them to go too far forward where they forget where they're coming from. I want it to still, even if it's by a thread, be associated with these characters and the events of what we've watched over the past 43 years. I can do math.
But you think the odds are good? It's going to be
63%.
set after Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, I think if it's the origin of Rogue Squadron, I'm just like, I don't care. I'll watch it and it'll probably be my favorite movie. But going into it, I'll be like, I don't care. I guess I don't know. Is I the only one that doesn't care about the origin of Rogue Squadron? Brock, I know is your favorite.
I don't. I ain't like a game, but like
I would play a game on the origin, but I don't. Yeah, I don't.
Sure, but like it should be the other way around. They should make the movie and then just make a new Rogue Squadron game.
Yes.
I was reading something about someone who was like looking at all the logos from the stockholders meeting. The big focus on Ahsoka's logo is like, there's a lot, but they mentioned something about Rogue Squadron, and I was just looking it up. That it's like something in the logo reveals what time it is, but like I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, but like X-wings are still they're like X-wing. You know what I mean? But what is it?
I've seen someone talk about it, and the X-wing model from the sequel trilogies is a different model from the original trilogies, and somebody was able to look at it, and I believe they deciphered that it is a model from the sequel trilogy, but it could just be a stock image X-wing that Disney had on file and threw in there. I don't know if they put that much thought into it or not. They might have. I mean, they should have, but
if they did, that's a beautiful way to reveal the timeline without outright saying it. I never thought of that until you brought it up, Brock. But I'm like, yeah, that's Poe's TIE fighter. That's like Poe's level of X-wing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was reading. It's like they have made changes in each like generation of X-wing. I'm like, that's kind of cool, but I'm just like, I don't know. It just feels that's too detailed. You know what I mean?
Andrew,
like,
what are your odds on?
What am I saying?
What's that, James?
What would your odds be on it?
Set after Rise, I'm gonna go 55%. I think in the movies they're still scared to move that far.
Which is, again, I don't understand it. It's just tell the story in a linear fashion. Just keep going. Just like they don't look. They could do this as episode 10, whatever you think of that. But they could do it in a way like this is Rogue Squadron is actually episode 10. You're like, okay, why? Because it has to do with after the events of it, and then they go in a different direction and just continuing the story. It's like, it just I think sometimes, like you're saying, they're afraid to do it. It's overthinking what they have, and the simplest solution is usually the one you should go with, which is just make a dang Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it just sort of like in the argument of it being during like the rebellion, so the original trilogy is like, what story do you want to tell? I mean, perhaps we haven't seen enough of like the other parts of the rebellion. Like we only see what Luke and Leia and Han see. So is there a story to be told about like Wedge or anybody like Wedge or Porkins? Like, do we need that story? And then why? Like, what are they trying to tell? Like,
but why theatrical?
And like, okay, so Andrew, you might be able to answer this. Rogue Squadron is like, it's the squadron that Luke created. Is that accurate?
In old Legends, yeah, he made it after Yavin. Now in the certain point of view Empire Strikes Back book, they bring up what actually, it's something like, I don't know who does it, but somebody's like, to honor, Jyn Erso and the crew of Rogue One, we're going to make this squadron like in their honor. And those guys operate on Hoth, and I'm sure they did a whole bunch of stuff before Hoth, but that's sort of changed a bit, where instead of Luke being like, I'm starting my own squadron and everybody like, I'm leading this crew, now it's like, let's give props to these people who got blown up because they saved everybody.
Yeah, you know what? And it's just sort of like Rogue Squadron. It's like, it's a squadron that goes rogue, right? Like, so it's like, it feels like it's part of the rebellion, perhaps, that breaks a rule. And when you think about it, Rogue One is, they're like, we're not going to do that. It's like, well, we're going to go do that anyways. And then they just make up that name on the spot. So it's like, perhaps that's a story that we can tell where like there's still this like ability to not act with the rebellion. So I don't know. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm game for anything because I like X-Wing fighters. So
Yes, you do. All right, let's move on. Barry Brophy, our good friend, Patreon. Barry Brophy wants us to pitch some series that we would like to see happen. And I would like to see Rogue Squadron. No, what would we like to see? I would like to see.
Squadron. So they decide to break the rules.
Break them up.
This fall on. Yes. Sorry, James.
Don't apologize to me. This is your show. Your name is on the best-selling T-shirt.
Oh wait, where'd he go? Full Brock, is that the best-selling one?
Yeah, what's one?
I guess
it's up there. It's definitely up there. Everybody wants a full Brock in their life. All right, so let's start pitching some shows for Mr. Barry Brophy. Andrew, what do you got?
Okay, Barry. All right. So if it has to be a show, I think this will work. So on Disney Plus, we've got a lot of love thrown around for saga characters, especially in this last few episodes of Mandalorian that we've seen. So I think that the best, when Star Wars is at its best, particularly when Star Wars TV is at its best, is when it's taking characters who people liked, but people didn't feel got their justice in the movies. Because the movies, as great as they are horrible at giving justice to characters. There's not enough time. So the shows have done a great job of that. They did that with Maul. They did that with Grievous. They did that with somebody else who I'm totally blanking on right now, but I remember thinking of this example before the show. But they've done it before. And I think a good way to do it again is to take really current characters who a lot of people feel have not been given justice. I'm talking Finn, Rey, and Poe. You guys know how much I love my two guys, a girl, and a pizza place on Endor idea, because those three are people, like their friendship is something we got like a sliver of, and then it was gone. And what we got, that little sliver of adventuring they go on in The Rise of Skywalker, I'm like, that I want to watch that. I want to watch those three hang out. We don't get nearly enough of that. So I want a Disney Plus show that is, let's jump ahead, let's say like 20 to 25 years after Rise of Skywalker. So we recast them, because I'm pretty sure all three of those actors are done. They've had their fill. It seems like all three of them have said, you know what, we've had enough of this. Yeah. So we recast them as their older selves. And I think personally, here's a person who I was like, okay, if our leading person is Rey out of those three, right? We want a person who can play Rey, who A, looks like her, and B, is a good actor and has a sort of pedigree where if we hear her name in a casting list, we're like, oh, cool, this is going to be fun. I want to see her play Rey. And I think there's somebody who's already part of the Disney, not just the Disney family, but the Disney Plus family, who fits that bill. So all she'd have to do is maybe go one studio over, go to the next door and start filming Rey when you're done with some of this other stuff you're doing on Disney Plus. I'm talking right here, Show me if you can see that. Captain America's girlfriend as a middle-aged Rey. Boom. There you go.
Yeah.
I think she would be perfect. She looks just like her, and we can get the pieces of Rey that we missed out on, and the pieces of Finn and Poe that we missed out on in the movies, and still have them be those characters without having to wait 30 years for our 3 actors to be like, yeah, maybe I'll take another paycheck, because it shouldn't be about when the actors are ready for the paycheck. It should be about when the characters are ready for their next story. And if you can get a good story, find somebody to fill those shoes, bump it up a few years. There you go. You got 2 guys, a girl, and a pizza place on Endor. Drop the mic.
Brock, what do you got?
I'm still pulling for an animated version of whatever the mission or the journey that Luke and Lando go on that we get hear mention of in Rise of Skywalker. But as much as I hate Palpatine, I think it would be interesting to do a Krypton-like show where we get to find out like where the name Skywalker and Palpatine comes from. So it's like, and I'm not saying it's like they all have to be like something crazy, but you know what I mean? Like where does that name come from? They could be anything, like, and like it's lost in time. Like perhaps they're royals, perhaps it's like a Game of Thrones, and then the families get sent off, whatever reason, and what have you. I don't know. I think you could do a lot with that so that you can expand on it and yet not be bogged down by using those, like the characters. Like we don't need to make a older version of Luke, right? Like not Luke himself, but like his great-great-grandfather that's exactly the same character. But like perhaps you could do something with that. I don't know. It's just what pops into my head, because as much as I say I want new stuff, I'm like, well, can we flesh out the old stuff? I don't know. And maybe I'm just a little too excited for High Republic.
Yeah, well, that could be happening on the Acolyte show. Palpatine, little baby Palpatine could be appearing on that. Who knows? No, I know what you mean, though. I think when it comes to shows, it's your opportunity to flesh these things out more. I think movies, you proceed forward, you make them the spectacles, and then on TV you take it, and what Mandalorian's doing right now, where they're bridging that gap between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy. It's brilliant, and that's what I think should continue to be done over there. I think a young Palpatine rise to power. I mean, we saw him rise to dark side power. How old is she, VP Andrew, in the Phantom Menace?
Oh God, I want to say
a real
60. Age? I think in his early 60s.
And is that his real age?
Oh yeah, I don't know. He's a big fat liar.
Yeah, so and who knows? Is he actually? He's actually from Naboo, right? Like that's yeah. But is he really from Naboo? Like, I think there is more to him there. Look, Tales from Dexter's Diner. How have they not done this yet in any capacity? And you could just go there, and he could be like, "I have a story," and then he could tell you some random crap story about Star Wars. That would be fantastic. That might work better animated. I don't know, but I would totally be down for that.
I told you guys when I got that book about Legends books, it was just a book of like, here's all the Legends books. There was a series that I didn't know existed called Coruscant Nights, where it was just film noir stuff about people on Coruscant living their life and stuff happened to them. And you can bet Texas Diner popped up once or twice in those. Of course. Where's that book?
You need more of that. We need more Coruscant as well. I would love to see just more on Coruscant, more what's going on. It's weird that I'm going to say a bounty hunter show, but a prequel era version with Jango Fett. I think that would. I mean, maybe there's too much now with Boba Fett getting a show, but I just him, Zam Wesell, like that whole, that era with bounty hunters is fun to watch. Maybe we get that. Maybe it's more about Camino would be interesting to me. I love the prequel, so I'm going to go anywhere in the prequel era. Where else could... there's just so much that I love, and maybe you get the definitive reason of why the Emperor switched from droids to stormtroopers.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Well, no, you're right. In terms of the timeline of the saga, the juiciest plum is still between Phantom and Clones. That's 10 years of like, what do we have in that 10 years? One comic.
Yep.
One comic. There, do something. Do something in there.
And the thing, and you could cast. I mean, Ewan McGregor is difficult, but you could cast anyone as, if you need Anakin and Obi-Wan, anyone as Anakin. Anyone, because he'll be an age that he hasn't been. So he's not Jake Lloyd, he's not Hayden Christensen, he's anyone. And maybe he goes off on his own without Obi-Wan for a bit. Maybe you don't worry about those two. Maybe it's a Kit Fisto show, which it should be. You go off on those, and there's 10 years of stories gives you a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, look at what they've done. I say this a million times, but I still find it funny. Look at how much they've milked the 3 years between A New Hope and Empire. They have milked those 3
I don't
years
get it.
dry. It's insane. Luke and Leia were too busy in those 3 years. They were so busy, they didn't even have time to become friends. Like it's too much. So you got 10 years here. Start milking.
Milk away. Brock, you got anything?
Oh, the easiest thing is to do a what if Star Wars version, right? Like it's like, what if Leia grew up on Tatooine? What if Luke grew up on what you call it, Alderaan? Like what, it's just take it and flip it somehow, and you're like, oh yeah, it's like, what if they never landed on Tatooine in Phantom Menace? Like, mostly it's like, what would it be like if you lived on Tatooine for most of your life? I think when you read the novelization of Last Jedi, that's one of the things that captures your imagination, where like Luke has this dream, this force dream of like what would have happened if he never met Obi-Wan. And I think they did that in comics as well. So it's just like, it's a no-brainer. Just do it. Just shoot it out. It can be animation, whatever.
Maybe they're waiting for Marvel to see what the Marvel numbers are.
Yeah, true. I wanted to say like something to do with World Between Worlds, but basically I think that's what Ahsoka's going to be about. I can't think of anything else that really intrigues me outside of like, we got to have a problem in the universe and somebody's got to solve it. You know what I mean?
I think when it comes to TV, the thing that Mandalorian did well was it thought small.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that was one of the, like, that whole thing about what is a Star Wars TV show. Before we saw that, we had no idea what that was going to be. And they showed us that you can tell a good story without it being like right now, the galaxy's okay in Mandalorian. There's no dictator to overthrow. There's no First Order. There's no Snoke. There's no nothing. But you get stories out of it. You get villains. Yep. You get mean old villains. And you get enough drama that every week you're constantly like, I hope the good guys are all right. Mostly I hope Grogu is all right, but you know how it goes. We can do that. They've proven we can do that. So you can get these other stories now where there doesn't have to be a war to have a Star War. And I think that, to bring it back to Rogue Squadron, I mean, like that's what's curious about that, because if it's not set in the Skywalker saga, you can't really have a X-Wing squadron without a war. So that's why too, I was like, maybe not post Rise of Skywalker, because otherwise what war are they fighting? Why do you need a squadron?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good point. Maybe I don't know. It probably takes place right after A New Hope. The Death Star explodes, and they're like, and now here's what happened to that group of X-Wing pilots.
That's the crawl, exactly what you just said.
Maybe Porkins is the main character and it takes place before all that.
Thank God.
Maybe
finally.
It's just the Porkins show. Porkins!
And Porkins is also writing it. That's why she didn't want to announce the writer just yet.
Yeah. All right, anything else you guys want to add before we get to odds?
Just Haley Atwell, play Rey.
You just want to
She's like recently in the news. Is she like supposedly dating Johnny Depp because they're on a movie together?
Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible.
Sorry,
get your gossip right, Brock.
I like to think Haley Atwell has better taste.
I couldn't remember which crazy actor it was. That being said, I do not side with Amber Heard. Boom. Anyways, so yeah, let's go to Never Tell Me the Odds.
Never tell me the odds. Our odds are brought to us by Patreon.
Patreon.
Brock, do you have
We
a
have
Patreon?
Patreons?
Yeah, Andrew
open-
Fantasia, Andrew Fantasia, Andrew Fantasia.
I made a lot of fake email accounts just to send you guys money. You're welcome.
I sent in a lot of box tops. Where is it? Oh, come on. Never Tell Me the Odds, brought to you by patreon.com. If you like what we do, and we try our best, support us on patreon.com, where go to patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast, and you can check out all that juicy content we all make extra for the people that like us so much. And our Patreon, this segment is brought to us by our current Patreons, Heidi Feder, executive producer, Barry Brophy, who brought us the idea that we just talked about, Dennis Allen, Mary Kristen Aton, Jeff Wilson, Phil Stanifor, Sooner Thrawn, Scott D, Josh Price, Matt W,
Rez, Frank Perkins, Neil Lowry, D. Raven, Spencer, Gleek Play 1, Automated Joy, Disney, Desi, Charlotte, Kayla Davis, Aaron Quinton, Jericho King, Girls with Sabers, and the Nerds. The Nerds. That's my song I wrote. It's a theme song.
Does Josh have a theme song? If not, you just wrote it.
Probably he does. Okay, all right. Our first odd is actually from executive producer Heidi Feder. Heidi, thank you for this odd. Will Force Ghost Anakin appear in Ahsoka? Andrew, let's kick it over to you to start it.
Damn, that is good. I think if Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show, comes out before Ahsoka, I'm going to say 77%. If it doesn't, I'm going to say 13%.
Brock?
I'm going to go 0% because, like I said, I think Ahsoka's going to deal a lot with this world between worlds. So she's just going to go and talk to him. She's going to go to where. Anyways, maybe that's too complex. So if he's a Force Ghost, I'm going to go 60% because Obi-Wan is a good place for him, but Ahsoka is even better.
And Dave Filoni is writing it and will be the showrunner on Ahsoka. I think you got to. You know, if Obi-Wan comes out and people are underwhelmed or they hate Hayden Christensen once again, maybe you don't put him in there. But I think the universe has shifted in a way that even if Hayden Christensen comes out and proves that he has no acting ability whatsoever, he will be loved by everyone. And he will be embraced by all fans going forward regardless. So I think that's not a concern. I am going to go 87%. You got to put him in Ahsoka. You got to, and I'm biased because Anakin's like my favorite, so whatever. But you got to put Anakin in everything, and Ahsoka makes so much sense. And a scene between Ahsoka and Anakin would be, and Rosario Dawson and Hayden Christensen know each other. They're pals, so you know, Hollywood friends, whatever that means. But you know, so it would be. I think it would be a good moment to see.
It might be the most emotional one of them, like a candidate for the most emotional Star Wars moment if they do it right, because it's like Ahsoka's arc since 2008 finally concludes with talking to this guy and being like, "I forgive you," or whatever she ends up saying to him. So that might be, you know, in 2030 when we do our like top 5 emotional moments, we might put that somewhere near the top.
Yeah, Andrew, do you want to read the next one because it's actually yours?
Yeah, it is mine. You're welcome. So the next one is,
You're welcome.
what are the odds that in the Ahsoka show, Barriss Offee returns as a villain? From what I read about her in that episode where we, spoilers, find out she was up to no good on Coruscant, they were originally going to have her be killed off or something during an escape. She tries to escape, she gets killed off, and Dave Filoni stopped somebody and said, "Don't do that. I have other plans." Allegedly.
Really?
Allegedly.
Oh, that
this
just
is-
changed everything.
Yeah, this is Wikipedia, so God only knows. I might just be blowing smoke up everybody's rears. But I think that Filoni is the kind of guy who, even if I hadn't read that comment, we would be sitting here thinking, well, she's still alive, so
yeah.
like we know how Filoni works.
I'm gonna go 95% now, Andrew.
What were you before that information?
I'm like 40.
I'll go 67%. I think it's if the show requires a villain, I think at one point we got to find out if a Star Wars show needs a villain or if we can just go on for the ride. Like, I mean, obviously it does, but Ahsoka's a weird character in terms of who would be. I mean, she's going after Thrawn, clearly, right? So I'm going to go 67%.
Yeah, she's going after Thrawn, and he might be sort of like the villain of this big crossover, which I'm really looking forward to. I love that idea. But it would be nice to have a villain who's not just doing math all the time. So, and also somebody that has some history with Ahsoka, because there is some beef there. Those two don't like each other anymore. And I mean, a lot of people have hurt Ahsoka Tano, but I think Barriss is the only one that's still around to kind of, have a rematch. So I'm going high too. I'm going 88%.
Oh, wow. Brock went the highest. You excited him. And our final out today, will we see a young Ben Solo on Disney Plus? Will we see little long-haired Ben running around with a blue lightsaber saying, Uncle Luke, help me, look. That's him throwing something. Will we see a young Ben Solo on Disney Plus?
The teaser for that episode is he's misbehaving and coloring on the walls. And Luke is like, I don't like it when you color on the walls, little Ben. And he's like, but I do.
And then it cuts to him sleeping and Luke's over him with the lightsaber.
No time frame, right? Like just at some point.
No, just whenever.
I'm gonna say 100%. Like, yeah, I mean, why not? Of any of the characters that we see in the sequels return, I think it makes the most sense. He's the most fleshed out, and he's got this kind of, he can be a connecting with the old crew as well, right? But I mean, we are the podcast where we just change our minds every 5 minutes, where it's just like, we don't need old stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. 100%.
Oh wow! See, I'm going along double full Brock. I'm going along the opposite highway of you, Brock. Even though we're almost wearing the same shirt, I think that of the big main characters that we met in the sequels, I think Kylo/Ben is the one that I am the most satisfied with what we've got. Like, I don't need to see any more Ben. I'm good. I feel like I've seen way more facets of him than I have of Finn and Rey and Poe. I want to see more of them. I feel like they got shortchanged the most. So I am good with Ben if I never see him again, but I think we will see a Whittle Ben run around. James, was the question in a series specifically?
Well, yeah, it would be Disney Plus, and then they said they won't be doing movies for Disney Plus, so yeah, a series. Live action. Has to be live action also.
A live action series. I'm going to say within 10 years, 43%. I don't know. Because I think they're going to be hesitant to cast a young Ben. So they might just forego it altogether.
Don't forget, we saw a young...
like, if we can't get Adam.
We saw a young Luke in Rebels. Never forget that.
That's true. And we did see a young Luke in, 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
so maybe they'll go that route.
It might not be. I think the one thing that excited me the most about Luke being in it, other than it was Luke being in it, was that they was like, okay, they're not afraid to do anything. Like, we're just going to do it. And that I liked. I'm going to go full Brock on this. Because I feel like you could easily throw him into whatever, because he's at that age right now. Especially in the Ahsoka Rangers Mandalorian Book of Fett timeline, he's right in there. I don't know how you would get him to enter in. You know what I mean? I mean, Boba Fett trying to get revenge on Han Solo, maybe, and he comes and he kidnaps young Ben Solo. Oh my god! I don't know how you would throw him in, but there are ways. So I'm gonna go full Brock on it because who knows? And they've proven to me over 2 seasons that I completely trust whatever ideas they have going for them. So those are our odds for this week. Let us know what your odds are in the comments below. Brock, do you have full page news today?
No.
Well, then guess what? It's
Top
time
5
for
standing by.
no. It's
No, I mean I have something. I just don't have full.
I
page.
understood. Andrew's the one that's not used to this show. I'm trying to set myself up for the song. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Last one of 2020. Hollow news. Da, 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 da. Hollow news.
Coronavirus.
But in all seriousness, I hope everybody is safe. I'm muting my mic. Brock, take the news.
All right, cool. There's no news, so I wrote a opinion piece.
I can't wait.
Andy Rooney.
Oh, exactly like Andy Rooney, actually. Hollow News, the news you need to know right now. Due to a slow news week, Hollow News is going to premiere a new Hollow News segment. The segment is called Hollow News Hallucinations, where I give my off-the-cuff opinion on some new topic or intrigue that is hitting the news and try not to go off on a tangent. For the first episode of Hollow News Hallucinations, I want to talk about the news scandal with Pablo Hidalgo. The controversy began when Star Wars YouTube personality Star Wars Theory posted a video of himself reacting to the Mandalorian Season 2 finale. Twitter screenshots show Pablo Hidalgo reacting to the video saying, "Emotions are not for sharing." Hidalgo ended up deleting this tweet, but then using it as his Twitter cover page. What followed was Star Wars Theory posting his outrage and countless Star Wars fans demanding that Hidalgo be fired from Lucasfilm. For those of you who don't know, Pablo Hidalgo is one of those key Star Wars historians and quite often brought in to consult on Star Wars projects. If you look at his IMDb credits, he has been a part of every Star Wars project for the last decade, as well as the author of most of the visual dictionaries. Think Dave Filoni, who doesn't sit in the director's chair. Now, I could just choose a side in this argument, and I'll be honest, I did happen to see the thumbnail for the original video from Star Wars Theory, which happens to be himself in tears as he's watching this finale in The Mandalorian. And when I saw it, I rolled my eyes and kept scrolling, not because I think he's weak, but as a Kevin Smith fan, there's only so many videos of grown fanboys bawling because they have been moved by content that I can take before it gets too old. Taking aside is somewhat pointless, though. Star Wars Theory is completely entitled into posting whatever content they like, and perhaps Hidalgo could stop voicing opinions that could darken the public persona of Lucasfilm. But that's not the true problem at hand. Both sides are voicing opinions online. Both sides are voicing very triggering opinions, and both sides have made decisions to put their unedited feelings online without gauging the outcome. Frankly, that is the whole point of a public forum on the internet, to provide a stage or virtual canyon to scream their thoughts for the void to hear. What I really want to address is where exactly the line of what is right or wrong to say on the internet, or more specifically, why do the huddled masses of social media feel like they need to demand blood for offhand tweets? Who is the antagonist in this argument? Star Wars Theories has the right to yell his outrage at Hidalgo, but he's a YouTuber. I'm sure he gets trolled all the time. We get trolled constantly on our videos, and we aren't even that YouTube famous by any means. But from what I can tell, his usual trolls don't get attacked to the point that other media outlets take notice. So what is the real slight here? The 5 words that Hidalgo said, or the fact that he is a Lucasfilm employee that poked fun at an SW fan? Is this the internet just flexing its united muscle? Sure, it gave us the Snyder Cut and a game authentic Sonic re-edit, which is great for the fans, but the viewer now selfishly destroys the original content, and we end up with the Snyder Cut and a game-authentic Sonic re-edit. Are those demanding Hidalgo's dismissal trying to stand up for Star Wars theories, or are they just trolling another troll? When does the demand for justice just become a pent-up desire to vent your internal frustration? This will probably blow over, or it will build up and latch onto another Star Wars drama down the road. Who knows? Star Wars fans are a volatile group and react strangely. Perhaps we need to be a little bit more sensitive about what we say and how it affects each other. Just trying to start a dialogue here, something that North American society really needs to practice more of. Let me know what you think in the comments below, because isn't that the whole point of this platform? And this has been your Hollow News.
Well said, Bartholomew. I like that a lot.
Well, like, there's so many weeks now, there's like no news. It's just opinion pieces. So let's put out our own opinions.
No,
I don't think you're allowed an
do you think
opinion.
we'll get canceled?
I think we've been canceled multiple times already. We're good.
Oh, perfect.
We're good to go. I have a lot of thoughts on that, but I'm going to leave them to myself because I also do not care. Top 5! Because, yeah, I think what you said was perfectly accurate. And what's the term? Is it snowflakes?
Because we're all unique.
No, because we all melt. Top 5 New Year's resolution for the Grand Emperor Xi VP Palpatine. He's heading into the year 2021. What are his top 5 New Year's resolutions? Let us know in the comments below what you guys have. My number 5 New Year's resolution for Xi VP is to find a way to cheat death. Again. Brock?
My number 5 is similar. Upload your what would you call it? Your consciousness into some kind of robot. A dark trooper. There you go.
Ooh. Andrew?
Oh. I didn't know what time period specific thing you meant. So I
It's
went
just
with, like,
CVP.
in his prime between 3 and 4, living it up as the Emperor. My number 5 is see more operas. You got to take in some more of the arts. I feel like he stopped doing that when he became Emperor, which is shameful because as Emperor, he would have more free time on his hands. So see more operas, dude.
My number 4, yoga. Just take up some yoga. Release.
Just take it.
Take it up.
It sounds too much like Yoda. I refuse.
Brock, your number 4.
Just exfoliate more, because lightning burns like that don't just get better. You need to work on your canvas that is your face.
Wonderfully said. My number 4 is check in on the clones on Exegol, because when you commit to a project like that, you commit to a project like that. You don't just buy a clone and keep it in a case because it's cute and show it off. You go, you feed it, you talk to it, you spend time with it. That's a commitment. Check in on your clones.
Does anyone know why they use red spray paint on those stormtroopers?
Which ones?
The Sith troopers, yeah, over Exegol. Yeah, you got me thinking about that. Why are they red?
Action figures, man.
Yeah, it gotta be. I like the ones that were like those guys that were on there with like they were black but they had like the red trim. Those ones are cool.
Yeah.
But like red stormtroopers for no reason was kind of.
I always thought it was. I really like the First Order uniform that Rose steals. It's like a teal color. I'm like, that's cool. The First Order's got a little bit of class. They're not just in gray and black all the time.
Yeah, only that one though. They should have been. Maybe it should have been Praetorian Guards instead of Sith troopers. And I'm not saying that because I am saying that because my number 3. Ask less people to kill him. Every time you talk, he was like, "Kill me, strike me down." I'm like, stop it. Maybe don't do that, and you'll live longer. I don't know. It's an idea. Brock, your number 3.
I'm just saying that perhaps 40 years before the Battle of Yavin, he just takes a trip to Tatooine to get there first.
That's not bad. Andrew?
Well, if he's into kinky stuff in the bedroom, I can only imagine what it's like. Strike me down. My number 3 is build a children's hospital on Naboo and use it as a front to find force-sensitive toddlers.
Oh, not bad.
Hide it under a veneer of philanthropy, but you know why he's really building it.
I think Disney Plus is like they're listening to us right now and they're finding prequel shows ideas for this. My number 2, and I think this is one for a lot of grandparents. Spend more time with his granddaughter. Get to know her a little bit.
Yeah.
His granddaughter's Rey.
His granddaughter's Rey, especially 25 years in the future when she's Haley Atwell. I'd watch that show.
And Tom Cruise is SheVP. Wait. No, that doesn't work. Brock, your number 2?
My number 2 goes hand in hand with my number 3. Blow up Tatooine.
Wait, but not while he's on it, right?
Away. Obi-Wan, Luke, pod racing.
Pod racing. Andrew?
My number 2 is learn another one of Vader's weaknesses so he can exploit it. Because Padme's dead. Find out something else. Maybe, like Brock just brought up, maybe Vader is still a closeted pod racing fan. Be like, it would be a shame if anything were to happen to Malastare.
The inside of that like orb thing that he does, where he like meditates, is just pictures and posters of pod racing. He's like, oh, so cool.
It's actually just the arcade of Star Wars Racer. It comes over.
Yeah. It closes, and just as it closes, all you hear is like,
and they're off, young Anakin Skywalker.
One of them is signed to Annie, my number 1 fan, Dale Andretti.
The problem with the Boon to Eve classic is they just try to walk it in.
Where are we on right now? You're
number 1, I think.
Okay, my number 1. Find a nice moisturizer. Brock was kind of earlier. Just find some moisturizer cream, maybe some Botox. Who knows? Just make it so you're the emperor. Treat yourself. Brock, you're number 1.
My number 1 is invest in laser-proof exhaust panel thing covers. Because if they didn't do that, if they had covered it up, just saying.
That's true. Andrew.
And my number 1 is along the lines of what James said earlier. Spend some time with his son. Because you know what? If he's in the good books with his son, he's like the old man from Home Alone. You call your son, you get to see your granddaughter. And at the end of the day, I think that's what she wants, right? So just call your son, man. Yeah, but what if he won't talk to me? At least he'll know.
Yeah. It's a good point. You never know until you try SheVP. We have faith in you. Because what the heck is Rogue Squadron going to be about if you're not the bad guy?
And we still don't know that guy's name, his son.
Yeah,
I hope it's like Lil Sheev Buscemi.
Lil Sheev, like Lil Archie. It's Lil apostrophe Sheev. We're gonna go to the chocolate shop. And we don't know anything. There's your show. Anyway, Jedi Hunter Ochi is more than I want. This is 196th episode of the Rebel Scum podcast. Yeah. The last podcast of the year 2020. We have one more show for you guys this year. This year that will never end. It's like lamb chops play along.
It seems like just yesterday we were doing terrible trivia at lunch every day.
Every day for like a month, and it was it was a lot. It was fun though. It was fun hanging out with everybody at lunchtime.
I was hoping we'd get endorsed by Cardinal at some point. Like the amount of how much we pushed that game.
I think they actually didn't appreciate it.
They put a piece in this.
Yeah, I got several letters in the mail. That's why we stopped.
Can I say something kind of mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Judging by the quality of their products, I don't think Cardinal has money to endorse with.
Ouch. All right, 196 episodes of the Rebel Scum podcast. I'm James. We were joined now with the actual Sith Lord, Andrew Fantasia. And as always, Brock is here. Hi, Brock.
Hi.
You were always scum.
Rebel Scum.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to... You guys aren't going to chime in?
Mind!
Happy New Year, everyone.
Goodbye.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.